The discovery. The sun was hot and bright over the endless desert. Sand blew across the dunes like waves in the ocean. A lone man walked through the dust, his head low, goggles tight and scanner in hand. His name was Jalen, a scrapper who searched old lands for anything valuable. He had walked for hours with no luck, just dry wind, broken rocks and sand. He kicked a metal can buried under dust, hoping for a signal, but the scanner stayed quiet. His water was almost finished, and his mood was getting worse. Then suddenly a beep. It was soft but clear. Jalen stopped, eyes wide, and checked the screen. The scanner flashed, energy signature detected. "What is this?" he said to himself, bending down. He started digging, using his hands and a small tool. The sand felt cold in one spot, like something metal was under it. He brushed more sand away and saw a dark gray surface, smooth and sharp. It wasn't any normal machine. This metal was strange, still glowing faint blue, even in the sun. There were no rust marks, no damage, no sign of age. It was like it had just been made. Jalen's hands moved faster, heart beating hard. He found a symbol, like a star mixed with a bird's wing, carved into the surface. When he touched it, something clicked. The sand around him shifted, and a circular door rose slowly from the ground. He jumped back, unsure what was happening. Then he heard it, a soft voice, calm and clear. "Welcome back, Commander." Jalen froze. What? He said, looking around. No one was there, but the voice had come from the ship. He looked back at the scanner. It now read, "System activation detected." The door opened slowly with a hiss of cold air. Inside, there was only darkness at first. Then lights began to blink on, one after another. Blue and white lights lit up a smooth hallway. Jalen stepped forward carefully. He didn't know if this was a trap, a dream, or something much bigger. The air smelled clean, like fresh rain after a storm. He walked inside, one step at a time. The hallway was quiet except for the sound of his boots. Strange screens lined the walls, showing star maps and alien numbers. At the end of the hallway, he entered a control room. There, a large screen came to life and a face appeared. It was not human. It was a soft, glowing face, blue and white with kind eyes and no mouth. The voice returned, "I am Lyra, ship AI and guardian of the Orion Starhawk. I have waited 500 years. Jalen stepped back, confused. Waited? For who? He asked. The face on the screen scanned him with a soft light. "You carry the DNA of Commander Raylan Haas, original pilot of this ship." "Raylan? I don't know any Raylan," Jalen said. The AI paused for a moment. "You are likely a descendant," Lyra explained. "The Orion Starhawk was buried during the last Earth conflict." Jalen looked around the room, amazed by the clean tech and glowing panels. The ship felt alive, but how could something so advanced be buried in sand for 500 years? He walked to the control panel and touched the glowing surface. "Ship core reconnected," Lyra said. "Powering systems, scanning external threat levels." "External threats?" Jalen said, confused again. "What do you mean? There's no one out there." Then a loud beep 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 echoed through the room. The screen turned red, and warning signs flashed. "Alert! Enemy probe signal detected. Proximity range 9,000 meters. Jalen's heart dropped. "What enemy? Who are they?" he asked. Lyra's voice turned serious. "The Authority, the enemy from the past war. They may have returned." He looked at the map on the screen, showing a small red dot moving fast toward them. "Are they coming here?" he asked. "Unknown," Lyra replied. "But the ship is exposed, and defenses are low." Jalen felt panic rise in his chest. He was just a scrapper, not a soldier. But now he had found something he didn't understand, and someone or something was already coming for it. He turned toward the door, ready to leave, but then he stopped. If he ran now, would he ever get another chance like this? He looked at the glowing screen, at Lyra's face. "Can you fly?" he asked, voice shaking. "I can assist you," Lyra said, "but only a human pilot can unlock full control." Jalen took a deep breath, wiped sweat from his face, and stepped back to the control seat. The chair adjusted to fit him. As he sat down, the room lit up. Lyra said one final word before the engines powered up. "Welcome home, Commander." The awakening. The engines roared beneath the sand. Ancient power surged through circuits that had slept for centuries. Dust and fire blasted from the buried ship's thrusters as it lifted into the air. Jalen sat frozen in the pilot's chair, eyes wide, hands shaking. The desert spun below him, dunes falling away like waves. He wasn't flying the ship, it was flying itself. Lyra's voice echoed through the cabin, steady and calm. "Auto lift complete, hull integrity at 94%, minimal damage from burial." Jalen stared at the glowing controls. "Are you telling me this thing was alive under the sand for 500 years? "Correct," Lyra replied. "I entered deep hibernation mode after receiving a final command from the original crew." Jalen looked around as screens lit up with star maps, command logs in strange languages. Each line of data told a story. One Earth had forgotten. Lyra continued, "You were not meant to find me, not yet, but the genetic key in your blood activated my emergency protocol." "I didn't activate anything," Jalen muttered, but deep down he knew that wasn't true. Something inside him had changed when he touched the ship. His fingers had fit the symbol like a memory he never had. Outside, the desert looked small now. The ship hovered miles above the Earth, cloaked in clouds and light. Then a flash. The warning sirens began again, louder this time. Unidentified signal approaching at high velocity, Lyra said. Jalen turned toward the radar screen. A red dot was racing toward them from the west. It was fast, low, and didn't respond to any signals. What is it? He asked, heart pounding. A scout drone, Lyra answered. Othari tech design registered in year 2641 during the last contact war. Jalen didn't know much about the war. Most people didn't. It was a lost piece of history. Some said it never happened. Others said it was just science fiction. But now it was real. Too real. The ship shuddered. A shockwave hit them from below. The enemy drone had fired a warning shot. Shields holding, Lyra said. Recommend evasive action. I don't know how to fly, Jalen shouted. Then let me guide your hands, Lyra replied. The controls glowed under his palms, shifting softly as if alive. It wasn't like flying a plane. It was like thinking and moving at the same time. The ship spun upward in a spiral, dodging blasts from the drone. Jalen leaned into the movement, heart racing but focused. Lyra's voice stayed calm. Good, you're syncing with the neural interface. The ship is reading your instincts. Why are they after us? He asked. Lyra paused. The Othari never finished what they started, she said. They lost Earth, but they left sleeper tech behind, watching, waiting for a signal. What signal? Me, Lyra answered. My awakening woke them too. The drone fired again. This time it was closer. Jalen swerved, just in time. Lyra fired back, a burst of white plasma streaking across the sky. The drone was hit and fell in a ball of flame. For a moment everything went still, only the sound of the engines remained. Jalen breathed hard, sweat dripping down his face. His fingers wouldn't stop shaking. Jalen, Lyra said gently, there's something you need to see. A panel slid open in front of him, revealing a small cube, glowing with a pulse like a heartbeat. This is the command core. It holds memories, orders, and messages from the original crew. He picked it up and a hologram appeared. An older man in a dark uniform stood tall, face tired but proud. My name is Commander Raylan Haas. The recording began. If you are seeing this, then the Orion Starhawk has found a descendant of my bloodline. Jalen leaned forward, stunned. The man in the hologram looked a little like him. Same jawline, same dark eyes. You must understand, the hologram said. Earth was never alone, and the war never ended. There is a place, a black tower in the desert. It holds a beacon, an ancient warning system. If you activate it, Earth will know the truth, but the Othari will come for you. You won't be safe, not anywhere. The recording faded, and the cube dimmed. Jalen sat in silence. The ship, the war, the DNA match. It was all real. He wasn't just a scavenger anymore. He was part of something older, something dangerous. Lyra, he said slowly, take me to the tower. The AI's eyes lit up brighter. Coordinates locked, Commander, she said. As the ship turned in the sky, Jalen looked out over the horizon. Far in the distance, hidden by heat and sand, a black shape stood like a knife in the desert, waiting the first flight. The sky was burning behind them. Smoke from the fallen enemy drone painted black streaks across the clouds. Jalen gripped the armrests of the pilot's seat as the Orion Starhawk shot through the air. The ship moved like it remembered how to fly, like it had been waiting for this moment. Below them the desert stretched endlessly, but far ahead a black shape was growing larger. It looked like a tower, standing tall and dead in the middle of nowhere. Lyra's voice filled the cockpit, steady but urgent. Approaching the black spire, ancient relay structure, purpose classified. Classified, Jalen said, narrowing his eyes. He had just escaped death, found out he was related to a long-lost war hero, and now they were heading straight toward a secret tower in the middle of a desert. Nothing made sense anymore, and yet it all felt connected. Who built that thing? Jalen asked. Lyra responded quietly. The spire was built during the final days of the Earth-Othari War. It holds more than just a signal. As they flew closer, Jalen could see strange markings on the tower walls. They weren't human, symbols twisted like roots and stars mixed together, glowing faintly as the ship approached. Then something changed. Without warning, the ship jerked hard to the side. The controls went dark, engines powered down, and the entire vessel began to drop. Lyra, Jalen shouted. External interference detected, she answered. The spire is generating a localized gravity field. They were being pulled in, falling, fast. Jalen braced for impact, but the ship suddenly stopped midair, frozen, like time itself had paused. Everything outside the window turned blue, like they were floating underwater. What is this? Jalen whispered. This is not natural, Lyra said, her voice now softer, unsure. This field is not human, not Othari either. The ship lowered slowly into a deep crater, hidden beside the spire. There was a landing pad, ancient but still active, lights blinking like it had been waiting for them. When they touched down, the ramp opened without command. Jalen stepped outside, the wind completely still. There was no sound, no movement, no life. It felt like the air was holding its breath. He walked to the base of the tower, his boots tapping on old metal. Suddenly, a light scanned him from top to bottom. A voice, older than Lyra, echoed from deep within the structure. Identity confirmed. Bloodline accepted. The metal door opened with a deep hum. revealing a dark spiral hallway leading below the desert. Lyra spoke through his wristcom. Proceed with caution. I'm unable to connect beyond this point. Jalen stepped inside, his flashlight flickering as he moved down. The walls were covered in symbols and carvings. Some looked like battles, others like warnings. Then he reached a circular chamber with a massive device at its center. It was the beacon. It looked like a giant crystal wrapped in wires and bone-like structures. He moved closer, feeling heat coming off of it. There was a pedestal beside it with a single handprint carved into the stone. It glowed as he stepped forward. Jalen hesitated. Was this really meant for him? Or was this a trap designed for someone else? He placed his hand on it. The room exploded with light. A projection shot upward, filling the chamber with images. Earth cities under attack, ships burning in orbit, Athari war machines walking across land like giants. He saw the old commander, his ancestor, fighting, shouting orders, giving his life to defend the planet. Then another voice spoke. Not Lyra, not the tower. Something older, deeper. Your blood carries the memory, it said. You are the last living link to Earth's final command protocol. What protocol? Jalen asked out loud, his voice shaking. The voice replied, the Phoenix Protocol, the last defense buried and forgotten. Suddenly an alert echoed through his wristcom. Lyra came back online, her voice full of fear. Jalen, the Athari are moving. They've picked up the beacon's energy. What do I do? He shouted. The moment you activated the beacon, it sent a signal, she said to both allies and enemies. Jalen looked at the holograms spinning around him. Maps, coordinates, warnings. One word flashed in bold red across them all. Awakening. The tower began to shake, as if the Earth itself was waking up. Jalen ran back up the spiral corridor, the ground trembling beneath him. The sky outside was dark now, clouds spinning above like a storm was coming. He jumped back onto the ship as Lyra raised the ramp. What now? He asked. Breathless. Lyra turned her eyes toward him. Now we run. The hidden past. The Orion Starhawk soared through storm-filled skies. Rain clashed against its hull like bullets. But inside, Jalen sat in silence. His eyes stared at the glowing red word that still hovered on the control screen. Awakening. His heart pounded with a question he didn't know how to ask. Lyra, he finally said. Voice low. What is the Phoenix Protocol? The AI didn't answer right away. Lights flickered in the ship's control room, as if even the ship was hesitating. Then Lyra spoke. Voice colder than before. The Phoenix Protocol was Earth's last defense. A plan so secret, even the High Command feared it. It involved planetary lockdown, deep cryo-weapon storage, memory deletion across the population. Jalen blinked. Wait, memory deletion? You mean people forgot the war? By design, Lyra confirmed. Earth's leaders believed that fear of invasion would destroy the planet faster than any alien enemy, so they chose to erase it all. Jalen leaned back in his seat. The weight of that truth hit harder than the drone attack. The history books were lies. The museums, the schools, the stories. They were all rewritten. Why didn't you tell me this earlier? He asked. You weren't ready, Lyra said. But the beacon changed everything. On the screen, a new map appeared. Dotted across Earth were red X's, each one marked an Athari sleeper site. Hidden bases buried deep under oceans, mountains, even cities. They've been here the whole time, Jalen whispered. Sleeping. Lyra replied, waiting for the signal. Jalen looked at one blinking mark near his own hometown. A chill ran through his spine. How many people live near that, he asked. Over 2 million. Lyra said, and they don't know what's beneath them. The ship rocked slightly as it broke through the storm. Below, green hills spread out like waves of grass. In the distance stood a ruined structure, half buried, made of stone and steel. Lyra zoomed in. This was an old human command outpost, lost during the war, she explained. It may hold answers or warnings. The ship landed gently near the broken wall of the facility. The area was quiet, overgrown with vines, birds nesting in places that once held weapons. Jalen stepped outside, his boots sinking into wet grass. The entrance to the bunker had collapsed, but a second tunnel still led underground. As he entered the dark corridor, lights flickered weakly. The walls were covered with faded symbols, some human, some alien. There were skeletons of machines, shattered drones, broken screens. Jalen moved carefully, the air thick with dust and memory. Then he saw it, a powered-down robot, half covered in dirt, slumped against the wall. It had the shape of an old soldier, one arm missing, one eye dim. He knelt beside it, wiping off the rusted chest plate. BRX-79, it read. He tapped the power node gently, a flicker, a twitch, then a voice, dry and slow. Command identity match, reactivating, please wait. The robot's eye blinked once, then twice. Unit BRX online, it said, standing slowly. You carry the DNA of Commander Haas. I am at your service. Jalen stepped back, amazed. You've been down here all this time, 496 years, BRX replied. I failed to protect this facility. I entered dormant standby. Jalen helped the robot stabilize. Can you remember what happened here? BRX's eye glowed as memory files opened. Images projected into the air, flashes of fire, alien shadows, soldiers yelling. The last transmission, a voice. They've broken through Sector 4. We're sealing the vault. Activate the protocol, now. Then silence. This was one of the last places that tried to fight, BRX said. They held the line so others could escape, but the truth was buried with them. Jalen looked at the vault door at the end of the hallway. Can it still open? BRX scanned it. Only with your DNA. He stepped forward, placed his hand on the scanner. A loud click, followed by a slow mechanical groan as the door slid open. Inside, the room was filled with crystal data cores, each glowing faintly. Backup memory archives, Lyric said through the comm, untouched for centuries. Jalen picked up one, and images flooded his mind. Footage of Earth cities burning, space battles above the moon, alien creatures marching across the planet, and something worse, a human general shaking hands with an Othari warlord. His blood ran cold. They weren't just fighting us, Jalen whispered. They were helping the enemy. Betrayal, from Earth's own leaders. A deal made in fear or greed. That's why the war ended in silence, not victory. He turned to Brix. Can you walk? I can fight, the robot replied, standing tall. Then we've got work to do, Jalen said, picking up a second crystal. And Earth has a truth to remember. The beacon hunt. The wind howled through the forest. Thick trees stood tall like ancient guards, their leaves whispering secrets. The Orion Starhawk hovered just above the treetops. Its lights dimmed. Jalen stood at the open ramp, staring into the dark below. Beside him, Brix scanned the area with his one glowing eye. There's a hidden facility in this region, the robot said. Not marked on any modern map, only recorded in the crystal logs you recovered. Lyra's voice came through the wristcom. I'm detecting a cloaked structure beneath the forest floor, 30 meters underground. No signals, no power, just silence. Jalen nodded, his mind still spinning from what he'd learned in the last few days. Earth had been betrayed, the war buried, history rewritten, and now the truth rested in old forgotten places like this. But the Othari were waking up too. He could feel it. As the ramp lowered, the air grew colder. Jalen stepped out, Brex following close behind. Their boots crunched on wet leaves, the sky dark with storm clouds. Every sound made Jalen tense. Every shadow felt like it was watching. They reached a clearing with a circle of smooth moss-covered stones. In the center, an old tree with strange metal growing from its roots. Brex knelt, brushing away the soil. Access hatch, he said, looks sealed but intact. Jalen pressed his hand against the metal. It glowed briefly, then hissed open, revealing a narrow tunnel leading below. The air smelled old like rain and rust. They climbed down together, step by step into the dark. Lights flickered on as they walked. Old emergency strips along the walls. Inside, the facility looked untouched, like time had paused. Place was never found, Brex said, hidden by design. At the far end of the hallway, a steel door waited, marked with the same winged star symbol as the Starhawk. Lyra's voice came through again. This location is labeled as Beacon Site Echo 9, one of 7 connected relay points to the planetary warning system. Jalen stepped forward, placed his hand on the scanner. The door slid open, cold air spilling out. Inside the chamber, floating in a containment field, was a second beacon crystal. It pulsed gently, as if alive. But something felt wrong. As soon as Jalen stepped inside, the lights turned red. Brex raised his arm, scanning. Trap signature, he said, delayed signal triggered. Someone expected us, Jalen said. Suddenly a click echoed from the ceiling, then another, then many more. Panels opened, revealing sleek black drones with sharp limbs and glowing red sensors. Othari tech, small, fast, deadly. The first drone lunged, but Brex reacted instantly. He fired a blast from his forearm, hitting it mid-air. Jalen grabbed the crystal and dove behind a console as lasers lit up the room. Lyra, we need extraction, he shouted through the comm. Sending support drone and opening emergency hatch above you, she replied. The roof above them groaned, then began to part, letting in a shaft of light. More drones swarmed in. Brex fought them off, shielding Jalen with his body, taking hits that sparked off his armor. But even he was slowing down. Go, the robot shouted. Climb out while I hold them. Jalen didn't want to leave him, but he knew they'd both die if he didn't move. He climbed the ladder fast, the beacon crystal strapped to his chest. The Starhawk hovered above the opening. Its ramp lowered. As Jalen leapt in, the ship pulled away from the forest. Below, an explosion shook the trees. Brex's final energy core self-destructing, wiping out the drones. Jalen fell to his knees inside the ship, fists clenched. Brex, he whispered. Lyra's voice was softer now. He completed his mission, Commander, she said. The beacon is safe, but now the Othari know you're collecting them. Jalen stood slowly, eyes burning. They'll try to stop us, he said. They'll come faster, harder with more. Yes, Lyra replied, but we are not alone. She projected a new image, an old list recovered from the crystal archive. Names, coordinates, call signs, other ships, Lyra explained. Other pilots who were buried like me, waiting for activation. Jalen looked at the map, realizing Earth had backup, sleeping warriors across the world, waiting to be found. If he could reach them first, he could build an army of the forgotten. But time was running out. The Othari were awake. The humans didn't know the truth. And someone on Earth, someone powerful, was still helping the enemy from the shadows. As the ship flew into the clouds, Jalen looked out the window. The stars above seemed brighter now, not because they were beautiful, but because they might be the last thing left. If he failed, the betrayal. Jalen arrived in the modern city, under a sky darkened by storm clouds. He carried the beacon crystal tightly against his chest, its pulse echoing his quickened heartbeat. The city lights shimmered in the distance, as he stepped onto crowded streets filled with strangers, unaware of the hidden war. His mind was heavy with doubts and fears about what awaited him. Walking through the busy avenues, Jalen tried to contact someone from the resistance that Lara had mentioned. He visited a small safe house on the edge of the central district, a place where rumors of truth and rebellion had long circulated. Inside, he met a face known only by code, Agent Mara, who claimed to be a trusted link in the underground network. Her eyes were sharp and suspicious as she listened to his tale of ancient ships and forgotten wars. Agent Mara led him to a dimly lit room crowded with faded maps and encrypted files. There, Jalen showed her the beacon crystal and the holographic images from the hidden archives. Mara's face darkened as she scanned the information, her voice trembling. "These secrets have been buried for a reason, Commander," she warned. Jalen's confusion grew. He had risked everything to retrieve the truth, convinced that Earth needed to remember its past to fight the future. But as he pressed for answers, Mara hesitated, glancing at a coded message on her worn tablet. "In these files I see evidence of human collusion with the enemy," she whispered. Before Jalen could ask more, the room's heavy door burst open and uniformed men flooded in. Their presence was cold and merciless as they surrounded them. Mara's eyes widened in shock and fear, and for a moment it became clear that the safe house was no sanctuary. Jalen's heart sank, realizing the betrayal was deeper than he had imagined. One of the officers, his face half hidden by shadow, stepped forward with a measured calm. "Commander, you have been a naive pawn," he said, his tone accusing yet controlled. It was then that Jalen recognized the insignia on the officer's uniform, a mark of the government that once promised protection. The betrayal was not from an outside enemy, but from within Earth's own ranks. Mara's voice cracked as she pleaded. "I tried to warn you, but they co-opted us all. The secret archives, the beacon, even the whispers of rebellion have been manipulated. Our leaders made a pact with the Othari long ago, sacrificing truth to maintain order." Her words fell like shards of glass over the stunned silence in the room. Jalen felt a surge of anger and despair, his mind racing with every betrayal he had uncovered. He had believed in a noble cause and fought against a hidden enemy, yet now he realized that those in power had long ago forsaken the people. In a surge of determination, Jalen clutched the beacon crystal and advanced toward the officers. "My bloodline was meant to awaken the truth," he declared, his voice strong despite the danger. The leader smirked, unruffled by Jalen's defiance. "You are nothing but a relic of a failed era. The Phoenix Protocol was never meant for you. It was designed to keep humanity under control. And now you serve only to remind us of our past mistakes," he taunted. Before Jalen could react, the room erupted into chaos. Alarms rang out while concealed panels in the wall released a flurry of energy. Mara, now desperate to redeem her betrayal, tried to help Jalen escape, but armed guards pressed in from all sides as the true scale of the conspiracy became clear. Jalen felt the weight of the city's indifference and corruption press upon him. Every step he had taken, every piece of the truth he had uncovered, led him to this moment of reckoning. The beacon crystal in his hand glowed brighter, its pulse matching the rapid beat of his heart. It was as if the relic of the past was summoning the strength of all those forgotten souls. In a desperate bid to break free, Jalen activated the beacon's hidden command. A blinding light filled the room, the holograms of ancient battles and voices of fallen heroes roaring like thunder. The energy surged over the government agents, momentarily disorienting them. With Mara by his side, Jalen dashed through a side door into the stormy night. Behind him, the safe house exploded in a cascade of sparks and shattered glass. The betrayal was now out in the open. The collusion between corrupt leaders and alien forces laid bare. As Jalen ran through rain-soaked alleys, he vowed to find the lost warriors Lyra mentioned, to gather the remnants of the forgotten resistance. The truth had ignited a fire within him, a determination to reclaim Earth from the clutches of treachery. Under the cover of darkness and relentless rain, Jalen disappeared into the city's labyrinth of streets. His journey was far from over, and every step carried the weight of a betrayed civilization. He knew that the road ahead would be fraught with danger and uncertainty, but within him burned the unyielding spark of truth and a resolve to awaken a sleeping world. And as thunder rolled over the city, the beacon's light pulsed steadily, a silent promise of liberation and retribution, each pulse a rallying cry for those who still believed in the power of truth over lies. Jalen now carried not only his own destiny, but the hopes of many. The fight for freedom had just begun, and the betrayal had only fueled his desire to set things right. The final stand. The sky above Earth burned red. Across the upper atmosphere, dozens of alien ships had begun to descend. They moved like shadows in firelight, their hulls shaped like blades, glowing with dark energy. The Othari fleet had returned, and this time, they came to finish the job they started centuries ago. But deep in orbit, hidden behind the shadow of the moon, another ship stirred. old, scarred, and forgotten by time. The Orion Starhawk powered up once more. Inside, Jalen stood at the command console, his hands steady, his eyes hardened by betrayal, loss, and the weight of memory. Beside him, Lyra's voice filled the room with calm focus. Planetary defense systems offline, global governments compromised, enemy fleet arriving in less than 12 minutes. And then another voice spoke. Not Lyra, not Bricks, but something older. The ship's deep core AI, locked away since the last war. Now awake, Phoenix Protocol reinstated, it said. Final command authority transferred to Jalen Haas. Bloodline verified. A rush of power surged through the ship as hidden systems came online. Weapons older than Earth's current armies. Cloaking fields no modern radar could detect. And most importantly, the final beacon had activated a network of ancient allies. One by one, hidden ships buried around the planet awoke. From icy mountains, from deep ocean trenches, from secret vaults beneath old cities. They rose like ghosts of the past, carrying the spirits of forgotten warriors. Lyra displayed the data. Commander, 19 starships have responded to your signal. Jalen stared at the screen as symbols lit up the world map, stars of hope where lies had once lived. Mara, he said through the comm. Her voice answered, clear and steady from a resistance cell on the ground. We're in position. Earth's people are watching, waiting for a sign. This is it, Jalen said. No more secrets, no more silence. Lyra began broadcasting the hidden truth across every major frequency. News networks, satellites, public screens, and even underground channels. The lies were falling apart, and the world was waking up. Children saw the true history of Earth for the first time. Elders remembered symbols buried in their dreams. People finally understood why they always felt something was missing, because their future had been stolen before they were even born. Suddenly, alarms flared inside the Starhawk. Enemy ships entering low orbit. Lyra warned, they're targeting the beacon sites, aiming to destroy all evidence. No, Jalen said, stepping toward the controls. Today we fight back. He sent the launch code, and across the planet, the 19 awakened ships began to rise. Their AIs connected, synchronized, forming a single fleet under Jalen's command. They weren't just machines, they were memories, weapons of history, now reborn for justice. As the Orion Starhawk shot into high orbit, Jalen activated the battle mode. Weapons folded out from its wings like steel feathers, engines roaring with white fire. The stars above Earth turned into a battlefield. Blue against red, memory against erasure. The first blast came from an Othari cruiser, a bolt of black energy slicing toward them. Jalen dodged it smoothly, guided by Lyra's quick instructions. He returned fire, sending a stream of plasma bolts that tore through the enemy's shields. Other human ships followed his lead, flanking, diving, striking with precision. Below, Earth's people watched in awe from their rooftops and screens. They saw something they never expected: hope. Real hope, born not from politics or false promises, but from truth, sacrifice, and a man who was never supposed to be a hero. Then it happened. The enemy fleet released its core weapon, a moon-sized ship shaped like a spearhead. Its arrival sent shockwaves through space. Lyra scanned it and whispered, that is the Heartpiercer, the Othari final command ship. Target its core, Jalen said. If we destroy that, the rest will fall. The Starhawk led the charge, flying faster than sound. They dodged wave after wave of enemy fire, engines glowing white-hot. Inside the Heartpiercer, the enemy commander appeared on screen. A tall gray figure with cold eyes. You are a remnant, nothing more, he said. No, Jalen replied. I am the future you failed to erase. The final moments came fast. Jalen launched the last plasma torpedo straight into the Heartpiercer's exposed reactor. For a second, nothing happened. Then an explosion like a star being born. Light and fire ripped across the void, taking the Othari fleet with it. Silence returned to space. Then cheering, across every city, every bunker, every ruined site, Earth's people roared with joy. Jalen slumped back in his chair, exhausted, his eyes full of tears. Mara's voice came through. You did it. No, he said, looking at the glowing stars ahead. We did it. All of us who remembered. All of us who chose truth over comfort. Lyra's voice returned, quiet now. Proud, Commander Jalen Haas. Earth stands free again. The stars outside shimmered in silence. But inside every human heart, something had reignited. Not just memory, not just pride, but a future built on truth. And it all began with one man in the desert and a ship that waited 500 years to say, welcome home, Commander.